welcome to the Viking Home Companion with another episode from the good old days. And this one is going to be about a series of battles at a West Frontier War that I was at. And that war was very notable for a couple of different things. It was the year that the West didn't have many fighters attend for whatever reason. The site was at the reservoir near Eugene, Oregon, and only 37 Western heavy fighters made it up there that year. And we were faced off with over 100 fighters from Montier. I think their count was somewhere around 120. So we were badly outnumbered. And yet we fought the whole day native forces. The West managed to actually win 2 battles, and those are the 2 battles that I'm going to talk about here. The first battle that we managed to win was one of the bridge battles. Now, the nice thing about a bridge battle is that it condenses the forces down to a narrow channel and can help to eliminate, to a certain extent, a big advantage in numbers. Think Thermopylae, okay? The Persians couldn't bring all of their numbers to bear on the Greeks, which were not just Spartans, by the way. There were 7,000 Greeks there originally, not just 300 Spartans. So we kind of felt ourselves a bit like the Thermopylae situation there. And so on the bridge, typical Montier tactics at the time were in a bridge battle that they would lead with a rank of shields, and then right behind the shields they would have a rank of great axemen, followed up by another rank of shields, and then their pikes, the 9-foot spears. But as they charged, the great axemen would actually charge through the first rank of shields. The shieldmen would let them through, and then those great axemen would hit the enemy line like a shock force to try and bust up the enemy formation, which would then allow their shieldmen to get deep within to the enemy's structure and let their pikes go to work. So to combat that anticipated Ontarian strategy, our commander, Duke James Greyhelm, because actually none of the Western royalty made it to West Frontier that year. Not their majesties, not their royal highnesses, none of the royalty from any of the principalities, not even the heirs to any of those principalities. Again, I'm not sure what happened that particular year that had so few people go, but we had made Duke James Greyhelm the commander of the Western Army overall. Command of the center unit was given to, the center unit was Griffinguard, and I'm trying to remember now, I'm having a little trouble with the name. I'll think of it later, I'm sure, and it'll drive me crazy now. But at any rate, Griffinguard was like the premier heavy infantry shock unit of the West at that time. And so they were in command of the center of our line, the center unit. I was given command of the right flank unit, which was just a mix of people. It was similar in Duke Frederick of Holland's Lost Boys unit. And so I ended up with myself, 2 members of Vinhold, Michael the Farlander, and Wolfred. I picked up a couple of guys from Emerald Towers. I had a guy there from Southern Shores. And so the nice thing about this pickup unit, though, was that we were all pretty experienced. There weren't a lot of us that were really, really new. And so we gelled into a unit pretty well. And then I think the left flank was given over to Tribe Rockmana that had made it up there that year. So, at any rate, we go on to the bridge, and to combat the typical Ontarian tactic that we're expecting, which is the lead charge with great axemen, we decide to go with Griffinguard as the front unit, a line of shields, And then we would have those of us with pikes, 9-foot spears, in the second rank backing them up, followed by a rank of shields, and then behind them the great weapons. And the idea is that our pikemen are going to intercept as many of the great axemen as we can as they hit us. And then as the lines engage, the pikemen will pull back and allow the second rank of shields up and the great weapons. Well, things didn't quite go according to plan, because the Ontirans decided to change up their tactics and threw 3 ranks of shields at us in a charge. And so when the two sides hit in the middle of the bridge, all of us pikemen got sandwiched between 2 ranks of shields. And so I'm standing there with my pike sticking straight up in the air, can't even move. I am completely wedged in. And I had kind of a nightmare moment, because as much as I was compacted in and such, there was this big open space right at my head. And I kept having this image of a great axe coming down and hitting me, and then hitting me again because I can't fall down, and hitting me again because I can't fall down, and hitting me again because I can't fall down. Fortunately, that didn't happen. And I finally managed to kind of turn a little bit, squeeze between 2 shieldmen behind me, drag my pike down and out, and I finally managed to squeeze my way back to the back end of the army. Now the thing is, though, I have fought in plenty of SCA wars, and I have fought in many, many, many bridge battles. But the thing about this bridge battle that I had never encountered anywhere else was, essentially the 2 sides had charged and impacted in the center, and even though nobody was moving, the charge never stopped. There was this massive force of pressure right in the center of the bridge, and you could almost hear it like continents grinding against each other, neither one of them giving, and you're waiting for the earthquake to happen when there's a release of energy. And so we're just going at it as hard as we can, and all praise to Griffinguard, because they locked up into those shields, they buttoned up tight, and they were really the immovable object at the front of the western line. And so we've got 2 ranks of shields that are just jammed up tight, but we've got our great weapons guys going to work. This is the thing that I really like about SCA tactics and complete engagement, right? I've never been a fan, even though I use pike, of pike dueling, where 2 sides march up into pike range and they just stop there. And the pikes basically take over the battle. They're doing nothing but dueling back and forth, and everybody else is cannon fodder. When I teach my class about small unit tactics in the SCA, I talk about the fact that combat in the SCA comes with 3 ranges. You've got short range, one-handed weapons. You've got mid-range, which are the great weapons, halberd, great axe, glaive, and so on. And then you've got long-range weapons, the pikes. So most armies only have a maximum about 1/3 of their force armed with spears. So why would any commander ever deliberately throw away 2/3 of his offense by marching up the pike range and stopping? I've never agreed with that tactic. I literally do not care about the circumstance. If I'm ordered to hold a position and the enemy doesn't want to close to engage, fine. That's the only time that I will advocate standing there and just poking at extreme range with the pikes. If my job is to engage the enemy and drive them off, then I'm going to move up and use all of my offense. I'm not going to throw away 2/3 of my available power, firepower, and do nothing. So the 2 sides are up and engaged. Our great weapons are really going to work. The shield wall in front is holding. And us pikemen are moving up to a point where we can actually finally engage. We do have one guy that manages from Montier to get through. He's using a hand axe. He has no shield, just a small hand axe, red-headed hand axe. And he comes blitzing in on me, who I've got a pike. I don't even have a backup weapon. But I see him coming, and I bring my pike down. I can't get the point in where I can hit him. I just bring it down where I'm resting it on his shoulder, and as he runs up on the shaft to me, as he gets to me, I deflect him off hard to my left, and the commander of the Griffinguard unit, who is fighting with a glaive, just blasts the guy right in the forehead as I ricochet him off of me, and then I go back down to piking. And this battle lasts a fairly long time, even for a bridge battle, and we managed to actually kill, sorry guys, the entire Ontiran force, and we only lost half of the Western army doing it. Now, the next bridge battle, we got totally blasted. They just kind of ran through us and ran us down. But I was really just impressed with that particular first battle. Now, the second battle that the West managed to win was a castle battle. And the only reason we won that battle is it was timed. The way that the timing works is that you had to hold out for a certain period of time without the enemy force either breaking into the castle or killing everyone in the castle, because by the time elapsed, that means a relief force has arrived to engage the sieging force. So the western castle is made up of an outer wall with a gate, and the gate actually has some plywood doors in it. It's not just an opening. And then there's a small tower in the center of the castle that archers can actually get up and fire. And I think we might have had 2 archers that had made it up for the West that year. So the archers were up in the tower, and we were on the inside. And at the end of the battle, Ontier had never managed to force the gates and get in part because a lot of our dead refused to exit. Now the thing is, in SCA combat, there's periodic pauses where people who have died are allowed to clear and get out of the combat area, so they're not stepped on and trampled on and buried and so on. But it's not always required for you to leave. If you don't want to go, you don't have to. And sometimes in bridges and in castles, the dead bodies don't want to leave because just the pile of bodies is giving their side an advantage. So in this case, a lot of our dead on the inside, especially around the gate, wouldn't leave, and they just laid there. Now, they're not allowed to do anything but lay there, mind you. They're dead weight. But they laid there against the gates, so the gates couldn't be forced in, and they refused to leave, and you're not allowed to climb over castle walls. So at the end of the battle, there were 3 of us left. There was myself, there was Theodoric of Skane, who was not a knight at that point, and Drew Fortescue from Griffinguard. And the 3 of us were all shieldmen at that point. I had put down my pike and picked up my sword board. We were backed up with our backs against the castle's tower, with our shields and weapons up tight, locked up against each other, while the Ontiran pikes were just blasting us constantly, trying to get an opening enough to take us down. And that was when they finally called time. And so we were able to actually win the castle battle simply by not getting dead. So this is actually the war that began my sheep song that I talk about in one of my other videos. You can watch that one. But those were the 2 battles that the West managed to still pull out a victory. And we still had an absolute blast at this war. You know, outnumbered or not, we still gave a good account of ourselves. We had a lot of fun with our Ontiran brethren up there, who in turn had a lot of fun with us. It was still all in all a great war. So there's another story from the good old days involving the West Ontier War. Yeah, sure, you betcha.